Republicans are total hypocrites in every essence of the word, and I'll tell you the reason why. When former President Joe Biden was in office, it was clearly evident that he was much older than he was when he was vice president of the United States. Biden has served over 40 plus years in public service, and even he admitted that he wasn't as sharp as he used to be. So, what did they talk about all the time? They said he's old, he's decrepit, he has dementia, his cognitive abilities, his acuity, it's not there. They made this the core issue during the campaign season. And now President Trump is the oldest living president in the United States. There's something wrong. And Republicans will not admit it. Senator Mitch McConnell, remember, on several occasions, what did he have? An apparent stroke. He is almost 90 years old. Yet the Republicans will not admit that Senator Mitch McConnell has a problem. And there are a lot of old senators in the Senate, very sickly, elderly, but they want to hold on to power and maintain it. The late Senator Strong Thurmond, who was about 100 years old when he passed away or near it, he had some serious problems. They didn't want to admit it. Well, according to Tennessee Brando, I found a video I'm going to share with you in a few moments, and you tell me if there's a problem. See, ladies and gentlemen, when you refuse to admit that you have a problem, problems get worse. Now, I've seen some things I've just been observing and watching, haven't really said too much about them. But it's clearly evident there is something wrong. Houston, we have a problem. Tyrone Bowman live. So let's get down to the video. Representative Jasmine Crockett didn't mince her words.
So Jasmine Crockett recently called out Donald Trump's mental acuity, and I really believe that more people needs to be talking about this. Shout out to people like David Pakman, who has been saying for a long time that Donald Trump is the one that's truly in decline and he's slipping. The Midas Touch Network has talked about this for a long time. I've talked about it here on the channel, but we don't talk about it often enough because everyone is so distracted with Joe Biden. The entire time Joe Biden was in office, that's all the mainstream media wanted to focus on was his mental health. Was he in decline? Was he slipping? Was he slipping into dementia? That's all we heard. And now that he's got his cancer diagnosis, it's just going to be more of the same. We're going to continue to hear them go back to that. I made the argument back then when they were sitting there complaining about Hunter Biden every 5 minutes that, hey, Hunter Biden is not in office. He doesn't have a place in his father's administration anywhere. He's just a private citizen. Why are we talking about him? Now it's like, hey, Joe Biden is an ex-president, okay, with a cancer diagnosis. Why don't we let him and his family get through this difficult time the best they can without turning it into politics and turning it into this another weaponization of government? Oh, we're going to go back and investigate that while we turn a blind eye to not only Donald Trump walking completely all over top of the Constitution and throwing it in the garbage, but also the fact that he is just slipping at a rapid pace. And anyone that can't see this and can't acknowledge this is truly blind. I'm so glad to see Jasmine Crockett call this out on MSNBC and call this out on mainstream TV, because too many mainstream stations will never talk about just what a complete nut job that Donald Trump truly is. Take a look at this.
I don't know where he's ever going to go, and I don't think that those that have gone through West Point expected to have their commander-in-chief address them and start talking about trophy wives or start talking about how he had so many investigations. What a great reminder that you are not qualified to be the person that potentially will command us as troops to go into war. Like, that is not instilling confidence whatsoever, and honestly, our troops deserve better. Our graduates deserve deserve better. We as a country deserve better. And frankly, if we are going to ever be seen as the world leaders that we historically have been, the world deserves better. It is time for Republicans to start calling him out and start questioning his mental acuity and whether or not he is equipped to serve mentally. We know when it comes down to his criminality, he is not qualified to serve. But this is just absolutely deplorable.
She's right. Republicans do need to call him out, but they're never going to do so. And the reason why they're never going to do so is because they are using him to be the mouthpiece and to push their agenda. That's what it is. That's the whole reason why they wanted to get him back through the door. They realized that, he had immunity from the Supreme Court. They realized that he could just run amok all over top of the Constitution, and that's exactly what he's doing. So they're never going to call him out on this, but to not call him out on this and for more media outlets and more people to not call out just how blatant this guy is declining right in front of our face. And not only that, but he's not up to par and fit to serve mentally. He also can't serve within the confines of the system. So we've got a train wreck on our hands, folks. We truly do. And I'm not going to play any of the West Point clips because they were pretty bad. He's up there talking about trophy wives. At one point, he talks about how he made a speech in Ohio, which he didn't. He was in Alabama. You'll never hear Republicans talk about that, but if that had been Joe Biden, they would never stop. It would just be a constant circus on mainstream news that Joe Biden forgot where he was or misspoke. They held Joe Biden to an account of every word he said or hesitated to say, and meanwhile, Donald Trump can go out there and make all these ridiculous, battery and shark rants and calling Hannibal Lecter a great guy and saying, that he's had more convictions than Al Capone. And he's just at this point now where he just sits and talks about how bad he's got it. Today is Memorial Day. I'm not going to share with you the disgusting post that he made. You can go share it yourself. But he done exactly what he always does, and that is turn any sacred day into a moment to lash out against people who he hates and who he disagrees with and who he wants to see sent packing. He can never pause and say, hey, today is about fallen soldiers, okay? Today is a day that we remember those who served and those who lost their lives serving this country. He can't say that. He has to turn it into all about him. And we're watching this guy rapidly decline right in front of our faces, and no one will point it out. Joe Biden, I will say, was aging. He was a man who was aging, but he was still in there doing the job. And when he spoke at West Point, he stuck around to shake everyone's hand. Donald Trump, he had to go. He had to run. It's time to play golf. But here's a clip of a real president doing what a real president is supposed to do.
Gary Thomas Ward III, class president. Aurelie C. Magot, Army Athletic Trophy winner.
So, yeah, I will take Joe Biden any day of the week over Donald Trump as a leader and as a good man and as a decent human being. It's so depressing to me and sad to see a man like Joe Biden dedicate his life to public service and serve his country and do the best that he could for everyone involved, and then just get mocked and ridiculed every step of the way. But it's always the good guy like that will receive the mocking, and it's the bad people like Trump who will continue to be justified and propped up and made into some sort of cult hero, and it's truly disgusting. We can all see that Donald Trump is absolutely slipping. We can see it. We see it with his ridiculous analogies. We see it with all of his misspeaks and his gaffes. And that's not just it. It's not just about his misspeaks or him forgetting what he was going to say. Look, I can give Donald Trump a pass for saying that he was in Ohio when he was really in Alabama. It's like I get confused. I get tongue-tied all the time. I misspeak. I go back and watch my videos one time after I get done making them. I'm sure I probably went ahead and released one that had a misspeak somewhere in it. I probably got something wrong. We all do. That's not what I'm going to give him the hardest time about. What I'm going to give him the hardest time about is the fact, well, first of all, I'm going to give the mainstream media a hard time because they would pounce on that moment if it was Joe Biden, but they won't if it's Donald Trump. And then what I started to say was, Donald Trump is a guy in decline who clearly is disturbed and has mental issues, and he's out there just going wild, shredding our Constitution, and people are letting him do it. And they're letting him do it because they're trying to push through their radical right-wing agenda. They do not care about this country. They don't care about the people he hurts. They don't care about anything. They don't care about the people that get sent out of here without due process. They do not care about the Constitution that they love to thump. First they came and they bastardized the Bible and they distorted it and they twisted it and they shoved people away from Christianity, and now they're doing the same thing with the Constitution. These people have never believed in anything that they're saying. Not once have they ever believed in a word that they're saying. But they find a way to spin this stuff to their advantage. And they're finding a way to spin Donald Trump to their advantage, and that's what this is all about. You got to remember, he is the face, and they realize that. They realize that for whatever reason, he can connect with a group of people that they need. And they're going to use him as long as they can. And he can walk out there, and Mike Johnson can have to steer him away from walking into a pole and everything else, and he can almost walk off stage. You will see Donald Trump decline, and you will see him fall downstairs, and you will see him probably shit his pants standing there, and they'll find a way to just keep propping him up. I hate to go here, but they'll just do like they did with Mitch McConnell. I mean, we've seen Mitch McConnell just completely lose it. That was hard to watch. That was disturbing to watch. And instead of coming back out and ever saying the guy was okay, they just walked him back out there and propped him up like, hey, tell him you're okay. It's kind of like the time that Dick Cheney shot the dude while they were hunting and they brought him out immediately. Like, hey, it was an accident. They're always going that back and covering their tracks. But we can all see that Trump is declining and more people needs to keep calling it out. I just don't have the stomach to sit and play the clips because everyone's playing them. They're out there for you to see. I know so many of my listeners on the channel are relieved that I don't play them. You can go listen to him talk about trophy wives and talk about batteries and sharks and all the ridiculous Hannibal Lecter and just all the stupid shit that he says all day long. We see that the dude is clearly slipping. And just like Joe Biden said, something snapped in him when he lost in 2020, and he's still out for revenge. So you've got a guy who is in decline, and he's out for revenge, and you got a group of people that's sitting back letting him destroy it because they don't care. Because they truly do hate this country and everything it stands for. And I know that's a cliche that a lot of both sides love to throw at each other, but folks, MAGA truly does hate everything this country was founded upon and everything that we ever stood for. Because if they didn't, if they cared about what we stood for, they wouldn't be letting this madman just run loose with it. But I truly do appreciate you all for your support.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tyrone Bowman Live. I have to take a quick break. I'll be right back right after this. Look at some of the comments in the comment section before we continue. Justin, what's happening? The best, what's up? And teetotaling, what's happening? Okay, Tyrone Bowman Live.
Just throw at each other. But folks, watching this? MAGA truly does hate everything this country was founded upon and everything that we ever stood for. Because if they didn't, if they cared about what we stood for, they wouldn't be letting this madman just run loose with it. But I truly do appreciate you all for your support here on the channel. We're cruising toward 800,000 subscribers, and I do believe we'll get there soon. So it doesn't cost anything. If you like this kind of content, be sure and hit that button and come along for the ride. If you ever want to throw a few bucks, we do have a Patreon. That the description,
gotta give
the link is in the description of this video. Also, I just put out a new album called Fab. That's short for Fuck a Bunch of Billionaires.
Dang.
And I released it over on the Bandcamp app. That link is also in the description. I want to thank everyone who has downloaded that one so far. It's been my best-selling one that I've ever done, and so I really appreciate it. We had a good time making it, and we'll keep making more because there's plenty of material to write about. I had one person say to me, more than one, I've had several people say, well, Brando, at least you'll get some good songs out of it. Let me just say this. I would take every song that I've ever written about this current situation we're in, and I would burn them. if I could restore American democracy to where it's supposed to be. I write these songs to raise awareness, and I put them out there to raise awareness and document a moment in time. But truly deep down, I just wished I was singing another honky-tonk crying in a beer song. It would be a lot less depressing.
And just for the record, I did subscribe to the channel, but as I said, I'm going to end this program where I started it. When Biden was in office, he was condemned, he was judged, vilified, constantly put down. He could do no good. And people seem to think that people did not vote for Kamala Harris. She had over 40 million plus votes. That says a lot about the divide in this country. Midterm elections are coming up in less than a year and a half. And Republicans are hoping and betting that people are going to forget about all the stuff that's happening and going on. Even with Elon Musk's so-called withdrawal of giving money to Republicans, that's a lie. It's another game. It's a ploy. He'll be back trying to steal the midterm elections. Houston, we have a problem. Never surrender. Never quit. Big sausage from Canada. What's happening? All right, y'all. Kindly subscribe to the channel. I'd appreciate it. We got a lot of work to get done. Never surrender. Never quit. Independents like us make the difference. I agree. I do agree. Love Canada. All right, until next time. Peace, everybody.